Hello and welcome to part 3 of our Pilates Foundations series. So today we're going to work through some exercises lying on your front, prone, as well as a little bit of 4-point kneeling. So prop wise, you may just want your small cushions or a folded up towel, possibly to support under your tummy when you're lying on your front, especially if your back is a little delicate, and you might want something under your forehead when we come to our position in just a moment. So grab whatever you may need and we'll come to lying on your tummy. So you can roll onto your side and then onto your front. So try and lengthen yourself out as long as you can on your mat. And you can release down, possibly with a little bit of support under the tummy, just to give you that sense of lift and engagement through your centre. And you may well want some cushions just under your forehead. I'm using a couple because I want you to still hear me when I come into this shape. You may not need as much head support. So find length down the back of the neck and your forehead can rest on your cushion or on the mat. So you don't want to feel squashed up, you want to be able to breathe and have length down the back of the neck. So as we get set in this shape, arms can just come by your side. Take a moment, just have a little wiggle of your pelvis, gently side to side. And you want to try and set both halves of the pelvis evenly weighted. So we're not tipping more onto one side than the other. So you can probably feel those hip bones on the mat, and you want to keep that same sense of contact when we go through our exercises each side. Legs in line with your hips. If your feet are a little crampy, you might prefer to have a cushion or rolled up towel just under the front of the foot so they're not in that pointed position. And then we'll start with our diamond press shape. So I'm bringing fingers and hands and arms and making a loose diamond press shape. It might be that you're comfortable to rest your forehead on your hands. For me, I prefer to widen this shape because otherwise my shoulders are too compressed and scrunched up towards my ears. So I'm a little wider. You might be wider on your mat because I'm propped up here. My elbows are dangling off the edge of this mat space a little bit. So you can shrug or circle the shoulders, have a little fidget around here. You might want the arms a little lower, and that's fine. So before we think about adding anything else, once you've got your position settled, just take a moment to come into that wide Pilates breath. So in through the nose, out through the mouth or through the nose. And then it's when you're exhaling that you begin to make that gentle connection to your centre. So you want to feel that your low tummy is lifting away from the mat as you do that here, and then slowly softening down. So just take a moment to get used to that sensation. It might help to imagine that perhaps there's a drawing pin under your tummy and you're lifting away from it, or an ice cube that you don't want to melt. Whatever works for you. And then once you've found that connection, check we're not tensing through the shoulders. We're going to try and lengthen and lift the upper body a little way without pushing the arms to get there. So you take your breath in. As you breathe out and centre, we're just nudging an imaginary marble with your nose. So uncurling your head a little and beginning to lift up that upper back. Take a breath when you get there. And as you breathe out, you're softening, peeling, lowering and releasing all the way back down to where you started. So soften shoulders as you breathe out. Let that gentle connection to your centre, then begin to uncurl the head, finding length through the neck without poking the chin forward. And maybe imagine there's a hand between your shoulder blades. It's that area that you want to be lifting and lengthening from. Take a breath when you get to your point, your end range here. And then as you breathe out, we're softening and releasing back down. So what we really want to avoid is pushing yourself up with the arms, because that's more likely that you'll start to extend from your low back, and we're trying to focus on our upper back. So we'll try a couple more of these. Almost as if you're beginning to crawl yourself forward, like a baby doing their tummy time. So as you breath and centre, uncurl the head, glide that upper body up. Taking a breath when you get there, soften shoulders, light on hands and arms. And as you breathe out, softening, peeling and releasing back down. Let's try one more. As you breath and centre, lifting that imaginary marble with your nose as you glide the upper body up. Taking a breath when you arrive, and then softening and releasing back down. So we're always focusing more on length than height and keeping that support through your low back. If you begin to feel it in your low back, maybe reduce your range or increase that support of your tummy a little more, or if you haven't already, you could add just a prop or a cushion just under your tummy to give you a little bit more support. So that's diamond press. I'm going to stay lying on the tummy and go through some options for dart. So for now, I'm going to leave the legs as they are. The arms can come down by your side, palms facing up to the ceiling. So the movement with the arms will be the arms will hover and turn in to face your legs. So try that a couple of times as you breath and centre. Arms can hover, turning in from the shoulders to face your legs, and then releasing down. And then we add that arm movement with the upper body movement that we just did with our diamond press. So you take your breath in. As you breathe out and centre, begin to nudge that marble away, upper body lifts as you begin to turn the arms and palms in. Take a breath. And we're going to peel, release it down and releasing the arms. If it's too much without the support of the arms, stay with your diamond press for now. Otherwise you can try a few more darts with me. So taking that breath, as you breath and centre, lengthening and lifting. Arms and palms turn in as if you're hugging something underneath your armpits. Take a breath. Peeling and releasing back down. Let's do one more here. As you breath and centre, lengthening, lifting. Crown of the head reaching away from your tailbone. Take your breath. And releasing back down. So you could leave the legs as they were. Traditionally with dart we change the leg position, so I'll just explain the leg position and put that together if you're ready to add on, otherwise stay with keeping it separately. So upper body wherever you're comfortable for a moment. We're going to bring the legs and feet together, so toes together. I've had a little wiggle as I'm just readjusting here and checking that the pelvis is level, and let the heels just open out to the side. So we just keep the upper body quiet for now, and as you breathe out and centre, you're going to connect the legs. So from the hips, I'm beginning to turn out. So I've made that connection from the heels all the way up towards the glutes, and then you're slowly just releasing that back down. So as you breath and centre, you're connecting through the legs. You've got that turn out from the hips, you're keeping that support from your tummy and that even weight on both sides of the hips. So if this feels okay on its own, you might want to pop that together with the upper body part of the dart. So to do that, you start with the toes together, heels apart, arms down by your side. Find that sense of length throughout your entire body. And as you breathe out and centre, we begin just to connect the legs, nudge the upper body up, let the arms and palms lift and turn in. Take a breath when you arrive. And you can peel and release that back down. We'll just try a couple more here. Taking that breath in, centre, legs, upper body and arms, breath to stay, peeling and releasing back down. Let's try one more. As you breath and centre, find that connection, the legs, upper body glides up, arms and palms turn in, stay for your breath. And then we're peeling and releasing back down. If it's comfortable for your knees, we're going to reverse back into rest position. You could come up just towards kneeling, knees under hips or a little wider, feet closer together. Welcome to use cushions under knees or behind knees, and just begin to reverse yourself back into your rest position or child's pose. You can use cushions under your head if that's more comfortable. So taking a few breaths here, just as a counter stretch to the extension exercises of diamond press and dart. So a few breaths there. When you're ready to unravel, you bring hands towards you, engage through your centre as you begin to uncurl. If it isn't comfortable for you to kneel, suggest instead you come onto your back, with or without whatever head support you need, and you could draw the legs in towards you, either holding under or over the knees. Just taking a few breaths there and maybe gently rocking side to side, your version of that counter stretch. And then if kneeling is okay, we're going to practice a little bit of 4-point kneeling. If kneeling isn't great for you, I suggest you go back to our first video, Pilates Foundations 1, and go through starfish with the opposite leg slide and rib cage closure, and some pelvic tilts or spine curls as an alternative to the next couple of exercises that we're covering here. So to set up in our 4-point kneeling, we come back to have knees directly in line with your hip bones, arms directly in line with your shoulders. Again, if feet are crampy in this shape, maybe something just under the front of the foot with a rolled up towel or cushion might be helpful. And for the hands, do try and spread out through the fingers, draw the fingertips up a little. So you've made a little claw or your gecko feet, so we're not just collapsing our body weight into our wrists or our hands. We've almost just got, like I've spread out that weight evenly. So there's a little bit of space under my palm and the mat. So I'm trying in this position not to let gravity sink me down towards the floor. So my tummy's engaged, I'm trying to maintain neutral spine, space around the shoulders and the neck. It's helpful just to get the placement sorted here by keeping the arms and legs still and just let your spine sink forward a little. So you'd feel the shoulder blades come closer together, and then press yourself away, the shoulder blades would head further apart. So you'll feel that different sense of engagement of the upper back muscles around the armpits, similar to when we had to play with shoulder drops in our first session. So we're trying to get that sense that we're pushing away. I'm keeping support of my tummy, so I'm not just sinking my tummy and back towards the mat. So I'm keeping my centre engaged, searching for length through the crown of the head and the tailbone. We're not just letting the head hang or poking the chin forward. So arms along without locking into the elbow. So there's the tiniest little bend of the elbow, and the inner elbow creases would face in towards each other. So even just getting into this position for a few breaths might be enough if you haven't done it before or you haven't done it for a while. If you're okay to be here for a few breaths, you can begin to add on that you take one limb away from the mat. So we'll start with the arms. So as you breath and centre, just hover one hand, arm away from the mat, and you could inhale to place that back down again. So as you do this, we're trying not to shift side to side, to move the pelvis or move the shoulders or sink onto that side. So you're keeping as much stability as you can, and as we pick up alternate hands, almost like you're picking up a paw and popping it back to that point that you left off. If that's okay, find that space between shoulders, length through spine, tummy engaged. Maybe try, as you breath and centre, just sliding the hand away so you keep the fingertips in touch with the floor or the mat. Keeping that stability, perhaps you could float the arm up, maintain that stability, lower that down and glide back in. And then try the other side, so you can begin to slide away, fingertips can stay in touch with the floor, so you're checking that you haven't shifted side to side, and then you're floating that arm up, probably in line with your ear. It's the same range that we did ribcage closure earlier on. So if that's going okay, stay with that. If you feel comfortable to add on any more, let's walk forward a little bit here. We can begin to slide the leg away. So upper body stays strong, knees under hips. So strong centre, just sliding one leg away. You can maintain that position, just my toes are slightly tucked here. I'm checking that hips are as level as possible. I'm gliding that back in again. And then we'll try the same on the other side. So you can slide away as you breath and centre. Inhale to stay, and then exhale to come back in again. Watch we're not locking elbows to gain our stability in this place. If that's okay, you could slide, and maybe you lift that leg. I'm only lifting as high as I can maintain neutral. If I lift the leg too high, I'm going to dip into my lumbar spine and shift side to side. So keep that support through your tummy. You can begin to slide away as you exhale and centre. Inhale to stay, exhale to hover, inhale to lower. Let's try that once more. So you slide as you exhale and centre. Inhale to stay, exhale, lift. Maybe imagine you're balancing something on your low back. And depending how those two have gone, you can begin to put those opposite limbs sliding away together if you wish, or perhaps the next time that you might repeat this video. So you could slide opposite arm and leg away, check your stability, and then you can float arm and leg up, searching for length. Stay for a breath if you can, and then lower and glide everything back in. So as you breath and centre, we slide and lengthen, floating up, try not to lock out that supporting elbow, hips square, and just try one more of those each side. Very nice. So take your time to find your way. And when you've finished, if rest position is comfortable, come back towards your rest shape or just come off of your hands and give them a little shake out if you need to. And then we'll finish with a little bit of cat. If you have osteoporosis or certain types of low back pain, you might wish to avoid the rounding of the spine and just keep the spine neutral. So that's what we'll start with before we add some mobility, more mobility through the spine. So we're still going to be with arms under shoulders, knees under hips. So first option, and if you've already sat back to your rest position, you've begun to explore this already, is keeping that spine neutral. You could just start to gently rock yourself back and return. It might feel nice to just rock back as you exhale. You could stay for that breath and then come back, or you might prefer to come back as you inhale. So that's keeping the spine neutral. If you do not have osteoporosis or any niggly back issues at the moment, you could keep arms and legs still, tummy scooped, and just begin to round your spine into an angry cat shape. Try not to hunch up shoulders. So we want them to soften. You can lengthen the back of the neck, curl the head in, tuck that tailbone in. Keep that support of your tummy. And then you could inhale with beginning to lengthen both ends of your spine away from each other back to your neutral shape. You can round as you breathe out, either staying for a breath or returning as you inhale. So you're finding length, but with that support through your centre, tucking tail, tucking head, space around the shoulders, try not to lock out elbows. We'll just do a couple more here. Rounding up. Or you may be staying with your neutral rocking backwards and returning. And then when you finish, if rest position is comfortable, we'll return there, feet together, knees wide, use any props under or behind knees, under your head that you like. Take a few breaths. You might want to give your neck a little massage, or bring the hands just towards the base of your neck and move the elbows a little closer to your head and get a bit of a tricep stretch after that 4-point kneeling work. And then after a few breaths, bring the hands close to your body, tummy engaged as you begin to uncurl or stack yourself back up. So well done, and let me know if you've got any questions at all, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Thank you.